2018. What a year it was. This would be the last video for the 2018 year. So I thought it'd be a good idea just to have a look at what I've done this year with the channel, the topics that I've discussed, as well as what's going to happen 2019. So the first one I made was an introduction to the channel, a video that has up to date had about 117 views. Not a very good one, but it's a video that I feel very strongly encapsulated the basics of what I was planning with the channel. Then I explained what is a company. I gave a detailed list of company compliance, and then I realized, hang on, my studio setup isn't working. I switched around, got another background, a bit more about this background in a bit, but then I talked about I'm not self-employed, now what? Where I gave 7 steps about how to start a business, how to start a company. Then I also explained why you should use a company as a legal structure for your business instead of, just a sole proprietorship. Also explained a bit about a CC and what CC is there, if I recall correctly. And then I explained, how to start a company. Then I went on to what are financial statements, how to calculate income tax, and then I started drifting more towards the tax seasons or the tax topics. My how to calculate income tax video was one of my better watched videos. It had 513 views as of now. That's not bad. 513 views on how to calculate income tax for the 2018 year showed me that there was a need for tax related topics. So I did an income tax questions and answers. I'm planning on doing another one again, but then I also explained the medical tax credit calculation. Now the medical tax credit is still something that is very confusing for a lot of people. It's very complicated and it's applicable to different scenarios. Now the reason why I say it's very complicated and confusing is that between myself and a couple of other tax practitioners I'm associating with, we have different approaches and different understandings of the legislation behind it. And so this is from tax academics that have difference of opinions, and there's no clear guidance from SARS exactly what it should be, and therefore it's pretty much what we make of it. Then we had the legalization of dacha, marijuana. So I used that video on dacha to explain the concept of sin taxes and what the impact of sin taxes on dacha would be. More of a hypothetical situation, but also just a bit of a criticism as to a higher court judge that makes an announcement or a judgment with a lot of ramifications that weren't considered. Then I also explained what is PAYE, why we pay taxes, and with why we pay taxes. So I spent a bit of time explaining where our money is supposed to be going to according to the budget. Then I also explained why every small business needs an accountant, which is up to that video has about 70 views, and I'm quite proud of that one, but it wasn't very well received. But still, I consider that to be my introduction to my channel at this time. Then I explained provisional tax. Again, provisional tax is a topic that it's a simple topic. It's a somewhat basic principle, but the application of provisional tax is quite often a difficult one to achieve. Then we had one of South Africa's biggest mistakes. That SARS IT head interview with Morning Live and then with the Nugent Committee, or the Nugent Commission of Inquiry. That was probably to date my best received video. I had 1,104 views, almost 40 comments on that video. That was, to me, the highlight of my YouTube channel so far, but also one of the lowlights, because the circumstances involving that video was not conducive to a good economy in South Africa. Then I also went on to explain what is the mini budget. I went on to give a basic overview of value added tax. And then I had a very fun video that I shot earlier this year with Warren Pridgeon, a friend of mine who owns a software development company. That was a fun one. Then explained a bit about what the tax implications of year-end functions. Then money saving tips for December and how to save money this silly season. Went also on to explain a bit about load shedding. Then the last two videos were about interest rates, and today's video is just pretty much a recap of the year. So, what can you expect for 2019? Well, the first couple of videos up until more or less end of June 2019 has already been planned. We're going to start taking a look at a bit more of personal financial management. Bearing in mind I'm not a certified financial advisor, what I'm giving you is practical tips to help you that I implement and that I recommend my clients implement. But this does not mean you will get rich, this does not mean you will make significant financial gains. What this does mean is just how not to spend so much money. I'll also be going into a bit more detail about various aspects of financial statements, specifically thinking of explaining what is revenue and gross profit and what is expenses linked with net profit, and then a couple of other ratios that the income statement would give you, such as your financial gearing, how to interpret what the income statement is basically saying. Then the same exercise with the balance sheet, how to what is assets and how assets are classed and categorized, what is liabilities and how liabilities are classed and categorized. Then equity and the accounting function, which is equity equals assets less liabilities, and explain how that works. And then also a bit more about the kind of ratios and what you can find out from the balance sheet. Then we'll take a look at cash flow, the cash flow statement. What the cash flow statement says. Cash is king. This is the cash flow statement. You can be very profitable, but if there's no cash flow, you can't have a business. So we're taking a bit more of an in-depth look at the cash flow statement, but I'll also be discussing major updates and changes on the budget speech, which happens in February, how to prepare for tax season going into July, taking a look at those kinds of topics to give you a bit more of an idea of how to prepare for tax, going about how to get a tax refund, how to prepare for a tax audit at the end of the year when you submit your individual tax return income tax return. Cars. And so that is what you can expect for 2019. Bearing in mind, I'm wearing a t-shirt. I'm sitting on the grass at a wine farm in my annual holiday. and I'm making this video. Why? Because very simply, when you own your own company, when you have your own business, you cannot simply take time off. Time off is unpaid leave, time off, all these cars driving by. Time off is essentially mean losses in revenue, which means losses in profit, which essentially just translates into losses. So you don't want to take too much time off, but time off is vital for you to maintain performance. You have to do maintenance on yourself, and you do that by getting some rest. So my approach is, I've got a couple of days off, spend one morning doing a bit of admin, getting a bit of work done. From here I'm going to have lunch at this very beautiful little at this coffee shop on this one farm in the Stellenbosch area, and from there I'm going home, going to edit this. Tonight we're having a braai with family, have a bit of off time, but in between I'm just thinking, oh yeah, that, not working constantly. I'm not working constantly, I'm working periodically. I'm getting some time off, I'm getting some rest in, because it's useful and it's vital, it's important. So this is Jacques Taljaard, this is Practitioner Accounting Services. Thank you very much for the time you've spent with me this year. I'm looking forward to a very productive and profitable 2019. Enjoy your weekend.